All right, let's continue on with the MLB trade deadline series. MLB trade deadline needs. Today we're talking about the AL West. Forgive me draining out. I have to get under here and make sure my hair didn't get messed up. So, but anyway, I'm going to go to the Central next, and then I'm going to go to the AL East last. I've already done all three divisions in the National League. They're in the description down below. And then I'll be pivoting over to my MLB trade deadline predictions. So if you're not subscribed to this channel and you like that type of stuff, make sure you do that before you leave. I don't want you missing all the good stuff. And I will be going live trade deadline day, most of the day. So you get everything live feed that day. So and anything leading up to that point that happens before, you're going to find out here too. Particularly as it comes to the Yankees. Now, with that, let's get over here. Start with the Houston Astros. Okay, and again, I've identified needs, whether either teams saying it, or records, how they're playing, beat reports, all different types of stuff. I'm corroborating a lot of different sources and doing my own homework too to figure out what I think is their most identifiable needs. Houston bullpen and outfield depth, and potentially another starting pitcher, and to a lesser degree maybe catcher. So I think Wilson Contreras is probably going to be a target for them. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody like Tyler Mahle or something like that gets added to the starting rotation. They do have a solid rotation. Obviously, they've proven that against the Yankees a week ago, and they're deep. But you never know. One goes down, it could affect the team, and I see this type of team fortifying. I also see them going after somebody like a David Bednar or Scott Barlow in the bullpen too, adding some serious reliable depth to that team and their run for a World Series title. So. In the outfield depth, there's a lot of different, Kevin Kiermaier is a guy that piques me. Even though they're in the American League, I don't know if he'll go there, but there's some other guys too. But those to me are the most identifiable needs for the Houston Astros. And some of them might be a little bit of a luxury. They're not hurting in the starting rotation, obviously, but that said, their bullpen's blowing quite a few saves, and you can never have enough pitching anyway. They're going to have too much pitching. So that's my Houston Astros needs. Now let's pivot over to Oakland, who's one of the worst teams in baseball. They traded away half their friggin' stars this offseason. So I think they're going to wind up being sellers. I think they're going to move Frankie Montez. I think they'll probably move Ramon Laureano and even to another degree Tony Kemp too. And maybe even, what's the other guy's name? Paul Blackburn, another starting pitcher. So my guess is they're going to be unloading those types of guys to try to boost their farm even further with the prospects. They got a haul for Matt Olson. They got a nice package for Matt Chapman too. And I still see them doing that as well. Some of those guys that were traded for Matt Olson are already in their starting lineup, Christian Pache and some of these other guys. They're already starters there. So I still see Oakland A's doing things like that. And obviously this is what they do. They rinse, recycle, and repeat, right? They get the stars, they develop them. Once they become expensive or close to free agency, they trade them, and they repeat this cycle. This is what they do. And hopefully, they'll get a better stadium too, because I think the players deserve better than the owners are giving them. So that's my Oakland preview. Los Angeles Angels, I think starting pitching and bullpen. Not surprised. I think Luis Castillo is going to be one of their targets. Josh Hader, I think, might be one of the targets. Although I'm not sure if Milwaukee's going to move him because they're trying to go for it too. Obviously, they're trying to compete as far as they can in the playoffs. So, but if you ball with an offer, they might bite. But I don't know if the Angels have enough to give the Brewers. Unless you're going to have to give up Joe Adell and some other guys too. But starting pitching and bullpen. I think Noah Syndergaard might walk in free agency, which is why I think another starting pitcher, preferably one with controllable years, will be an ideal fit for them. And the same thing goes to the bullpen. So, in their effort to kind of try to compete, because with that lineup, they should be able to compete a little bit more. And so I think pitching is where they need to really fortify. Dylan Bundy and Noah Syndergaard is not enough. Texas, I think they're going to continue doing what they've been doing. They've made a bunch of big free agent signings, superstar signings. I think they're going to add to probably the starting pitching. I can see them trying to go for a bullpen piece like a Daniel Bard or something like that from the Rockies, who was the former teammates with John Gray, who's now with the Rangers. And I see them adding depth pieces around. Maybe like a multiple position guy. A Ketel Marte wouldn't be out of the question in my opinion either. He played multiple positions and he would fit that lineup really nicely and give them another offensive piece that can play multiple positions and give them a lot of versatility. So, and maybe some other, utility player of another sort, starting rotation depth, bullpen depth, outfield depth. So there's a lot of ways the Texas Rangers can go, but I think they're going to keep adding to what they've already started to build this offseason. So, and lastly is the Seattle Mariners. They made several trades. I mean, they get Eugenio Suarez and Jesse Winker. Not exactly sure it's working out the way that they want it to work out so far, but I still see them adding an outfield depth, starting pitching. No doubt about it. Robbie Ray's not panning out the way they thought he was going to be panning out either for that big contract. Bullpen, catcher, infield depth. So they've got several needs, and I see Wilson Contreras potentially being a target for this catching stable there too. So I could see Contreras going to a lot of different places, but in the AL East, Houston and Seattle represent, to me, obvious fits for him, as well as some other teams in other leagues, or other divisions, I should say. Outfield depth can come from a lot of different places. Bullpen, again, targets, David Robertson, Bednar, Scott Barlow, a bunch of other guys. So there are some guys that can be had. And Seattle's got pieces to move. So, and I think they're going to be aggressive because they also kind of like, Texas, they added, whether it be trade or for agency, they added this offseason. They were aggressive, just like the Rangers were. And I think they're going to continue on that trend. And if these guys keep doing it, the NL West is going to be really, really deep division. It's going to be really hard to get through them at some point. So, but those are my needs for the NL West. You guys let me know what you think. And I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep moving over to the AL Central next. And it's obviously the AL West. I'm going to do the AL Central, and then we're going to go to the AL East. We're going to save the best for last, baby. So don't miss out. You know what to do if you don't want to miss out. I'll talk to you next time.